friends, today we are going to learn about Gauss law, Gauss theorem in electrostatics. Friends, this is a very important topic considering CBSE as well as JEE mains. Many a times questions are asked either to derive or explain or application of Gauss law. So today we are going to learn Gauss law as well as applications of Gauss law. First we'll start with the definition of Gauss law and expression for it. Gauss theorem or Gauss law in electrostatics. The surface integral. In the previous class we have discussed about the surface integral. Whenever we are adding all the small areas over a closed surface, then we use the surface integral. Surface integral of electrostatic field E produced by any sources over any closed surface S. For example, let us say this is a closed surface S, right, and it is enclosing some volume V in vacuum. That is, the total electric flux over the closed surface S in vacuum S is 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge Q contained inside S. It simply means that, let us say there is a charge Q. So we all know that if there is a charge Q, there will be electric field around it, so there will be electric field lines, so the concept comes electric flux. So you can see electric lines coming out of this closed surface. So this flux which is coming out across this closed surface, it all depends on the charge enclosed inside it, and it also depends on the medium. If it is vacuum, then it is 1 by epsilon naught times of the charge enclosed inside it. If it is Q, then the flux which is coming, that is 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed inside it. That is what this line says. The total electric flux which is coming over the closed surface S in vacuum is 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge Q contained inside the S. It is expressed in this form. Electric flux is the surface integral of electric field intensity over a closed surface, which is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed inside it, right? Friends, now we are going to learn about the proof of Gauss law's expression. We have given an expression that phi E integral EdS is equal to Q by epsilon. We are going to derive that using Coulomb's law. Let's see it. So generally we are using a spherically symmetrical surface to give the proof. Let us consider a charge which is exactly at the center of a sphere. Let us consider a spherical surface around that charge at a distance r, right? And if you wanted to know at this point what is the electric field intensity, according to Coulomb's law, we know that E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by r square r cap. Let me explain the terms in the diagram. This is a charge anchored at the center O, and we have considered a sphere around this charge exactly at a distance r. The radius is r, and you can see that I have considered a small area element ds. So in the previous classes I told you area can be considered as vector. So here it is area vector. So ds vector is given by n cap ds. This is the direction. This is the direction of the area vector, and this is the magnitude ds, right? So you can see the electric field intensity is directed radially outwards, right? So here what we can understand is the direction of electric field intensity as well as area vector is same. The angle between them is 0 degrees. Okay, fine. Now we'll come to the part of now calculating this value, E dot ds. From Coulomb's law we have this. Let us substitute the value. Q by r square, it is r cap, then ds value is given here, dot n dot ds. Now you can see here there are two unit vectors. We know that r cap dot n cap is nothing but 1. Since the dot product of two unit vectors is 1, so I can write this as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. So this is 1. So finally get pi epsilon naught right. Now we are going to integrate over closed surface area of the sphere we get, right? That means we are supposed to integrate this. When we are doing this integration, as we know that electric field intensity over this surface is same because all are at same distance, so electric field intensity will be same. So let us bring this electric field intensity outside the integration, because integration is applicable only for variables, not for constants. Since E is constant everywhere on this surface at a distance r, so I bring this outside. In that case it becomes this integral ds. So integral ds, it is nothing but integral ds value is nothing but the total surface area of that sphere, which is nothing but 4 pi r square. So you can see 4 pi r square. So we are left out with q by epsilon naught. So we got the value integral E ds is nothing but it's q by epsilon naught. Friends, if there are more number of charges inside the closed surface which we have considered, let us say there are 4 charges, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. In that case, the flux, the total flux and coming out of this closed surface is given like this. If there are n number of charges, we'll extend this concept Qn epsilon naught, which simply can be written as 1 by epsilon naught Q1 plus Q2 plus and so on Qn. So this the total of all these charges, let us call it as capital Q, then it can be written as epsilon naught, where Q is given by Q is equal to sigma of let's call it I value starts from 1 to n, right? So this is the flux you can use, right? One more thing which we have to keep in our mind is in that expression we are mentioning generally epsilon naught because the surrounding medium around this charge is vacuum we have considered. In case if there is any other medium apart from vacuum like air, water, etc., in such case the expression would slightly change. If the surrounding medium has a dielectric constant K, in that case the flux it would change as Q by K epsilon naught. We know that this K, the electric constant, is nothing but relative permittivity. So you can write this as Q by epsilon naught, epsilon R, epsilon naught. Again, this is nothing but Q by epsilon, because relative permittivity is equal to E by E. Right. So this is how we give the expression when there is a different surrounding medium apart from vacuum. Right. And this some important points to be noted regarding Gauss theorem. First one is Gauss theorem holds good for any closed surface. It should be a closed surface, it holds. Secondly, the surface which we choose for applying Gauss law is called Gaussian surface. Means, in the proof which we have given, we have actually considered a spherical surface which encloses a charge. So this surface which we are considering, we call that surface as Gaussian surface, right? Generally we choose spherical surface for the proof. The reason is, if we choose a spherical surface, you can see if I consider any area, any point where I want to know the electric flux or electric field intensity. So the direction of that area as well as field intensity both are same. In that case, cos will be 0. If it is cos 0 value is 1. So we are left out with the EDS. And remember that, as I told you, electric field intensity throughout on the surface is same because all these points are at the same distance r. So E will be constant. If E is constant, then it comes out of the integration. Then what is left out? Only integral ds is left out. Integral ds is nothing but the total surface area of the sphere, which is nothing but 4 pi r square. There is no need to do integration also. So that is the reason it is very simple. We generally choose spherical surface as the Gaussian surface during calculation part. Right. Thirdly, Gauss theorem is mostly used for symmetrical charge distribution. So that makes it easier to calculate it. We can calculate the flux for 1 coulomb charge. It also is one of the applications. We know of phi is given by Q by epsilon naught. If charge is 1, we know the value of epsilon naught. It is around 8.85 into 10 to the power of minus 12. If we simplify it further, we get 1.13 into 10 to the power of 11. So these many electric field lines come out of a surface if 1 coulomb of charge is enclosed inside the surface. I hope you understood this. Friends, now we are going to learn about deduction of Coulomb's law from Gauss law, and we can make the converse also. First we will see reduction of Coulomb's law from Gauss law. For that, what we do, place a charge plus Q and imagine a sphere of radius r, and at the center of that sphere, let us say this charge is placed plus Q. Now if you see the electric field intensity, so that is radially outwards, and if we consider electric field intensity at any point on the sphere, it is same, it is constant, because all these points are at the same distance from this charge, that is at a distance of r. So this much is very clear. And if we consider a small area element here, so the area vector direction is in this way, given by n cap. So you could see here the direction of electric field intensity as well as the area vector is same. So in that case the angle between them is 0. So cos 0 value is 1. Okay, now we'll move on. According to Gauss theorem, we know it is integral EDS is Q by epsilon naught, right? Now we know that the angle between these two, electric field intensity in the area element is 0. So I would write here integral of EDS cos 0 equal to Q by epsilon naught. Cos 0 value is 1. So now here I can write integral ds is equal to q by epsilon naught. You can see here integration of all these small elements. It is nothing but the surface area of the sphere. So E 4 pi r square is equal to q by epsilon naught. And E value is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. Now let us say we place one more charge at this point P. Let us say we place a charge q naught. Then what is the force experienced by this? That is given by we know that the force experienced that is given by EQ naught. The force experienced by this charge placed at a distance r is given by EQ naught. E value is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square q naught. Now you can see this is nothing but the expression for Coulomb's law, where it is telling the force experienced by these two charges. Right. Whereas now we will see the applications of Gauss's law. First we will try to compute electric field intensity due to a line charge. Let us say this is the line charge. If we consider a thin rod on which a charge is distributed uniformly with a uniform charge density, line charge density, that is lambda is equal to q by L. So now our aim is to find electric field intensity at some point P, which is at a perpendicular distance r from this line charge, right? For this what we do, we will imagine a right circular cylinder. This is the right circular cylinder of length L and radius r, ensuring that this line charge is exactly on the axis of the right circular cylinder. Fine. If you look at this now, if you try to compute the flux which is coming out of this right circular cylinder, so it has got firstly a curved surface and there are two ends of the cylinder. Let me tell you that I have mentioned in this diagram the area vector's direction for all these. For curved surfaces you can see here it is upward, here it is downwards. For the ends we can see these are the area vectors, right? So first we'll see contribution of curved surface of cylinder towards electric flux. So you can see here both electric field intensity as well as area vector are in same direction. So again theta is 0, so cos 0 value 1. So here I can write this as E, this vector can be written as n cap ds, and we know that the value of unit vector is 1 and E is constant. Let me tell you friends, electric field intensity on this entire curved surface is same because all the points on the curved surface are at same distance r. So E is constant, so E will come out of the integration. So the value is around 2 pi RL. Right. So this is nothing which is equal to q by epsilon naught. Right. So now we got the value. E is equal to. Before that, let me tell you, we have to calculate the flux contributed by the ends also. There is no contribution of flux from these ends. Why? What is the reason? I'll tell you. Because the electric field intensity direction is in this way and the area vector is in this way, the angle between them is 90 degrees. Cos 90 value is 0. So when we do integral EDS, the angle between them is 90 degrees, so this value becomes 0. That means the flux contributed by the ends of the cylinder is 0. So I'll write that point also. Contribution towards flux by the ends of cylinder is 0. Why it is 0? Because in this integral ds cos 90 value is 0, so there is no flux because of the ends, right? So now this total electric flux value is this, so now it is, which is equal to q by epsilon naught. Okay, so we know q is given by lambda L, so we'll substitute that here. Q value is lambda L by this, we bring it down 2 pi r L epsilon naught. So here L get cancelled. Finally we are left out with an expression E is equal to lambda by 2 pi r epsilon naught. So this is the electric field intensity at point P. Now at a distance r, perpendicular distance r from this line charge. Friends, we'll see the second application. Electric field intensity due to a uniformly charged spherical shell. What it means is, let us say there is we consider a spherical shell. This is a spherical shell, people. On that spherical shell, let us say the radius of the sphere is capital R, and let us say we have given a charge Q. We have distributed that Q uniformly over this spherical shell. Now we are interested to know what is the electric field intensity at this point P outside the spherical shell. So what we do is, we will consider a Gaussian surface, spherical Gaussian surface S1, whose radius is capital small r. So we can see clearly the electric field intensity is radiating outwards, radially outwards. And let us consider a small area element on this Gaussian surface, that is ds. Its area vector is given by n cap, direction is given by n cap, right? So you can see here both electric field intensity as well as area vector in same direction. So again cos 0 value is 1. So if you take the integral ds value, so this value becomes E is constant on this surface because all the points on this surface at same distance from the center. So E will come out of it. Before that, what is the angle? E ds cos 0 n cap. So you can see that is E ds. Ds value, integral ds value is E 4 pi r square. The surface area of the sphere is 4 pi r square. So now this we are equating it to q by epsilon naught, because that is the flux value given for integral ds according to Gauss law, right here. According to Gauss law, so this value is nothing but equal to q by epsilon naught. So from this we can write E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. So it's very clear here that E is inversely proportional to r square. What about the electric field intensity on the surface? In that case, the small r becomes capital R. On surface, capital R. Friends, I am talking about if we consider this point P here on the surface, then what is the electric field intensity? In that case, E is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by r square. Friends, the charge which is distributed here, so let us say that the surface charge density of that is given by sigma. Sigma is equal to Q by A. That is surface area of the sphere. So it is Q by 4 pi r square. Then Q value becomes sigma 4 pi r square. Right? This value we substitute here. So we get, here 4 pi epsilon naught. So it is sigma 4 pi r square so all this get cancelled, so we are left out with sigma so electric field intensity on the surface of the sphere is sigma by epsilon naught. What about the electric field intensity inside the sphere? Let us say we take somewhere here. Inside, how much it is? Inside it will be 0 because there is no charge enclosed inside. So you can see here this expression. There is no charge inside the sphere. So because charge is here on the surface, inside there is no charge. So Q is 0. Inside the shell, Q is 0. If Q is 0, in that case, E also will be 0. So we learned 3 cases here. If we put up all these 3 cases on the graph, it looks something like this. So here on y-axis I have taken the electric field intensity, and on x-axis I have taken the distance from the center. Right? So you can see until distance capital R, that is until the surface, there is no electric field intensity. Electric field intensity is 0. You can't see anything here. Exactly on the surface you can see that is maximum. That is maximum having a value sigma by epsilon naught. Then thereon, as we are moving away from the spherical shell, then you can see the electric field intensity is decreasing, showing a decreasing trend with this relation E inversely proportional to R square, which is given by this equation. Right. Hi friends, now we will see electric field intensity due to a non-conducting charged solid sphere. So let us say this is the solid sphere which is non-conducting. Let us say we have given a charge uniformly distributed throughout the solid sphere. Let's say it is Q. Now our idea is to find out electric field intensity somewhere inside. Outside we have learned anyway, but inside we want to learn mainly. So let us consider the point P. Now imagine a Gaussian surface, spherical Gaussian surface inside. Let us call that as S. Its radius is given by small r. The radius of this bigger sphere, non-conducting sphere, is capital R. At this point, we want to know electric field intensity because of the charge. So generally, because of the charges distributed here, the electric field intensity from this point is directed radially outwards. If we consider a small area element ds, its unit vector is given in this direction. So you can see again the angle between them is 0. So EDS cos 0. So now we will calculate that. So let us say only in this part of the surface we have a charge Q dash. Out of total Q value, we have only Q dash. And let us say it is having some electrical permittivity epsilon. This medium is having some electrical permittivity epsilon. In that case, the equation would become this. According to Gauss law, integral EDS is equal to Q dash by epsilon, not epsilon naught. Right. Now let us see. So integral E and as ds is equal to epsilon. Here I can write this as, again, electric field intensity is same because all the points on this are at the same distance r. So E comes out of the integration. Integral ds is equal to, so here this is nothing but 4 pi, this is small r. So E value becomes 1 by 4 pi r square q dash pi. So let me tell you the value q dash here. So the surface charge density of this non-conducting sphere is given by rho. Rho is given by q by volume of this sphere, 4 by 3 pi r cube. Friends, this I told you in very previous class of mine, that a surface charge density is given by charge by volume. Right. So volume of the sphere is 4 by 3 pi r cube. So in that case, q value becomes rho into 4 by 3 pi r cube. Okay, so in this case you have taken q dash, so q dash becomes rho into 4 by 3 pi r cube. So that I am going to substitute here, and let us see the value. 4 pi r square epsilon 4 by 3 pi r cube, and then rho. 4 pi get cancelled, so we are left out with r square, r cube cancel, r is left out, so we are left out with rho r by 3 left out here, and epsilon naught is left out. So you can see we got an expression rho r by 3e, right? So this is the electric field intensity at a point P inside this. If we want on the surface, then we just have to on surface this E value rho r by 3 epsilon. Since capital R is bigger than small r, so this value is maximum, right? Outside surface we already derived earlier in earlier case, so it will be E is inversely proportional to r square, right? So if we summarize all this in a graph, it would look something like this. On y-axis electric field intensity, on x-axis the distance from the center of the non-conducting charge sphere. So you can see inside the sphere what is happening. Inside the sphere the electric field intensity is directly proportional to r, E directly proportional to r. So gradually it will increase. And at the center electric field intensity is 0. Gradually it is increasing, and exactly on the surface when r is equal to r, you can see it is maximum, because this value is maximum, so E becomes maximum, and then later on from there on the E value decreases because it is inversely proportional to r square. This is how we understand about electric field intensity due to a non-conducting charge.